The haunted village of Mirpur. Based on true events, Rajasthan, 2019. The dead don't always stay silent. Sometimes they wait. Sometimes they wait 20 years. Arjun had been a journalist for 6 years, and in those 6 years he had learned one thing above everything else. The stories that nobody wanted to tell were always the ones most worth telling. The tip had come from an anonymous email. 3 lines, no name, no contact information. Just a village name, a set of coordinates in the Rajasthan desert, and a single sentence that had kept him awake for 2 nights running. She has been in that well for 20 years, and nobody has looked. He had shown it to Meera the next morning over bad office coffee. Meera was his colleague, his closest friend, and the most unsentimental person he had ever met. She evaluated everything with the same cool precision, whether it was a government budget or a ghost story. And she had read the email twice, set down her cup, and said, "We go they." Priya had insisted on coming. She was newer to the team, 22 years old, and eager in the way that people are before the job teaches them what it actually costs. And when Arjun had tried to explain that this particular trip might be more complicated than a standard assignment, she had simply picked up her bag and walked to the car. They left the city on a Friday evening. By the time they reached the turnoff from Mirpur, the sun had gone down, and the road had narrowed to a single lane of cracked asphalt, cutting through flat scrubland. The GPS had stopped updating 40 minutes earlier. The radio had given out around the same time, mid-song, as if something ahead had simply switched it off. Nobody mentioned either of these things. No approach. The village appeared without warning. No gradual accumulation of houses, the way villages usually announce themselves. Just darkness. And then suddenly walls and doorways, and a street that stretched ahead of them like a held breath. Old, and its branches hung completely still, despite the wind Arjun could feel, coming through the slightly open window. "It's quiet," Priya said from the back seat. "Yes," Arjun said. "Too quiet," she added. "Yes," he said again. He opened the car door. The smell hit him first. Something sweet and wrong, underneath the usual desert smells of dust and dry grass. He couldn't name it exactly. It was like flowers, but flowers left somewhere dark for a long time. Like sweetness that had turned. He had taken perhaps 15 steps into the village when he felt the eyes. Not one pair, many. From the dark windows and doorways on both sides of the street, from behind cracked shutters, from the deep shadow under the neem tree. He turned slowly, scanning, and saw nothing move. But the feeling was absolute and undeniable, the feeling of being seen. Then a shadow separated itself from a doorway on the left. The old man who stepped forward into the thin moonlight looked like he had been carrying something very heavy for a very long time. He was thin, bent slightly at the shoulders, with a white turban and an orange dhoti, and a walking stick that he leaned on as if it were the only thing keeping him upright. His face was deeply lined, and his eyes, when they found Arjun's, held an expression that Arjun recognized after a moment as a very old and "You should not have come here," the old man said. His voice was cracked, like wood left in the rain. "Whatever you are looking for, there is nothing here for you. Go back." "My name is Arjun," Arjun said carefully. "I'm a journalist. We received information about disappearances from this village. We just want to understand what happened." The old man looked at him for a long time. Then he looked at Meera, then at Priya, then back at the road behind them, the way they had come. "My name is Ramu," he said finally. "Come inside before it is full dark. You do not want to be standing in this street when the full dark comes." He turned back toward his doorway. After a single moment's hesitation, All three of them followed. The room was small, a single oil lamp on a low table, a rope charpoy against one wall, a framed photograph of a goddess on the other wall, garlanded with flowers that had dried to brown. They sat on the floor, all four of them looked at the lamp and said nothing, and the silence was different from the silence outside, sadder, more inhabited, and for a long while Ramu looked at the lamp and said nothing, and the silence was different from the silence outside, sadder, more inhabited, and for a long while Ramu, when he began to speak, his voice was quiet and steady, in the manner of someone who has been preparing a particular set of words for years and is finally saying them aloud. Her name was Aarti, he said. The lamp flame dipped as he said it, though there was no air moving in the room. Nobody commented on this. She came to this village 22 years ago, when she married the schoolteacher's son, Prakash. She was 23 years old. She came from the city, educated, soft-spoken, the kind of person who remembered everyone's name and asked after everyone's family. He paused. She was too good for this place. I don't mean that unkindly. I mean that this place was not built for people like her. But she loved Prakash, and she stayed. What happened to Prakash? Meera asked. He died, Ramu said simply. A fever. 3 years after they married. It came quickly and it did not leave slowly. He turned the walking stick in his hands. She was 25 years old and alone, in a village that was not her own, with a husband's family that was kind but poor and could not support her indefinitely, and no easy way home because the bus that connected Mirpur to the main road had stopped running. She was stranded, Arjun said. She was stranded, Ramu confirmed, and Pratap Singh Rathore noticed. He said the name with a flatness that contained everything, a complete biography of fear and resentment compressed into 4 syllables. Pratap Singh's family has owned land in this area for 4 generations. He is what the old people still call a zamindar, a landowner, though that title means nothing legally anymore. It means everything practically. He controls the water rights and the grazing land and the road maintenance contracts, the panchayat, and he has personal friendships with 3 separate district police officers. Ramu looked up from the lamp. In a place like Mirpur, that kind of man is the law. He has always been the law. And he wanted Aarti, Meera said. He came to her door 1 week after Prakash's funeral, Ramu said. With food, he said. Out of neighborly concern, he said. He came back the next week, and the next. Each time his concern was a little less neighborly, and his expectations were a little clearer. His jaw tightened slightly. She refused him, politely at first, then firmly. She filed a complaint at the panchayat. The panchayat head was Pratap Singh's cousin. She tried to contact police in the next district. The number rang and rang. She applied to have her documents transferred so she could register a new address in the city and leave permanently.